So, do you got to tell him around all the time?
Amy, are we live? We're good to go. All right, we're ready to kick off. Anybody's first time at a live Meet the Manager meeting in person? Okay, a couple people. Awesome. So we normally kick off with a couple of updates, and then I just open the floor to questions. And I'll come by and give the mic to you, and you can ask your question, and then I'll do my best to answer it. If I don't have the answer, I'll try to get back to you by the next meeting. And then if you want a direct response via email, you can always reach out to me as well. So quick updates. Gate card reset, 8 a.m. next Tuesday, the 25th. So every gate card on park, employee, owners, people that are staying on the park currently, everything gets reset. And we tried to do it in a way that would allow us to not reset the ones that we had just handed out, like the day before or 3 days before, and there was no way with our system to do that. So it is a direct reset. Even if you just got a new card 3 days ago, it's going to not work at 8 a.m. next Tuesday. So be ready to come up to the front desk and we'll get you guys hooked up with the newest cards. Don't forget about our bonfire tomorrow night. I will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some s'mores. Yurt prices have been reduced for March, April, and May. $77.47 for owners and $83.08 for guests. And that is buy 4, get the 5th free, and buy 5 and get 7. Okay. Let's see. November and December financials have been posted. So for the year ending 2024, our revenue was just over $3.8 million. Our cost of sales, $275,000. $3.4 million in expenses, and our net was $458,000. We can compare that to the negative $21,000 at the end of 2023. So large strides there. That's really positive numbers. Yeah, absolutely. There is a slight caveat to that. So on the profit and loss statement, if you look, you'll see that annual dues late fees is $196,000. 192, sorry. And I don't believe that that's accurate. So we had worked with Abacus for weeks trying to get that number corrected. That's something that they kind of tracked for us in the past based on dailies that we sent over. And when I pulled the list of every invoice that we sent out for late fees of annual dues, it did not equal that number. So I don't have confidence in that number. And since it's reported on the income side there, that could skew that year-to-date number. But again, it's not going to eat up that entire net that we had. So we did really well there. Owner feedback forms. Has everybody seen the new stickers? Yeah? They're kind of posted everywhere. Amy, where's the one in here? Do we have one in here yet? Yep, I see it. Yep. So as you're leaving here, if you look to your left, you'll see this sticker, and it has a QR code. You don't have to use the QR code. You can get to this survey without using the QR code. If you go to the website and you scroll all the way down, you'll see a QR code. If you actually just click that QR code, it'll send you to a landing page, and that landing page offers 2 forms. One of them is an owner feedback form, and that's just you guys saying, how are you enjoying the park? What's going really well? If we did a good job at something, let us know. If we need to improve something, let us know. And then below that, there's another form that's a maintenance request form. And I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about the Maintain X system a lot, but it is up and running. So you click that form, you say, hey, this is what I see that's wrong on the park. So it could be, you're staying in a cabin and you notice that it needs to be painted. There's chipped paint, or there's something wrong with the bed, or you're on your site and your pedestal is crooked, or anything like that. You can report all those maintenance issues. And I know that what you're thinking, like, Stephen, you're not going to get to all those maintenance issues. And I know we're not at first, right? But we're gathering that scope of everything that needs to be fixed so that we can prioritize. There is higher weight given to an owner to an owner's request. So if you send something in, Mike actually, it pings his phone as soon as you send it, even if you send it at 1 a.m. It pings his phone, and then he hits approve. And when he hits approve, he fills out the rest of the form. So he'll say what the priority is on it, additional information if he needs to provide to his guys, and then he'll actually assign a team member to that task. So the next day when that team member comes in, they pick up their tablet and they go, okay, here's my list of, okay, number one priority is I need to get this pedestal fixed, or I need to go check in with this owner and see what they were talking about on this deck, or whatever the case may be, and get that issue solved. So that is live. Again, you can scan the QR code, or you can go to the website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, touch the QR code. It'll bring up that landing page. There's two forms. One of them is the owner feedback form. The other is a maintenance request. So you can also put your email address at the end of that maintenance request form, and you'll get notified when it's been approved and when it's been completed. Any status change, you'll get an email. And if you've submitted a request and you haven't gotten any response and you haven't gotten that email, there's a stack of my cards right there. Next step is to email or call me, okay? And I'm happy to chat with you about it and get it bumped up on the priority list if it needs to be, okay? All right, long-term planning committee met March 11th. So this committee, again, is kind of designed to be let's review all the feedback that we've gotten from owners. You know, we sent that, there was a form sent out, about 5-6 months ago. We had 480 responses to that request, and it was really just, hey, what as an owner do you see should be long-term planning priorities for Treasure Lake? It had questions about our mission, vision, and values. So I took all of that information and I shared it with this committee. We had 22 members sign up for the committee. We're not capped, so we don't have like, sorry, we've got 22 and you can't be on the committee. If you're interested to serve on that committee, please get with me and I can get you added to that list. We met on the 11th. I went over those survey results, and then we just kind of discussed the structure of the committee, what our goal is as a committee, and then discuss subcommittees. So as we move through this process, my hope is they'll take that feedback and feedback from our owners that haven't filled out the form, and we'll start prioritizing the major long-term projects that need to be completed here at Treasure Lake. Then the leadership team will take that, and we will build an actual plan. So if it's going to happen in the next 1 to 2 years, it's going to be an execution plan. If it's going to happen in 6 years, then it's going to cost $1 million. We need a funding plan first, right, to come up with the funds to ensure that we can complete that project. The committee will make recommendations to the board of directors, and the board of directors have the ultimate decision to decide whether or not we're going to accept that plan, change that plan, look at doing something a little bit different. One of the things identified as the number one concern across the survey and the committee members was sites. So I think it's very clear that sites are going to be high up on that list of things that need to be addressed in that long-term plan. That doesn't mean we wait 6 years to address it, but it means we start now addressing sites so that in 10 years, our sites are where we want them to be. So that's exciting news. We meet again on April 11th. If you're sitting here on the committee and you go, Stephen said he was going to send out the entire presentation because I couldn't make it. I've not done that yet, so my plan is to send that out today, so my apologies. Let's see, $46,085 has been raised for the capital improvement projects, so that's exciting. And again, that number can be found on our website, and it's updated Monday through Friday. We have 1,008 memberships in the vault. This is an exciting number. So, you know, we've got the voucher program, the 1,000 for 1,000. Anybody use that yet? Nobody in here's used it? Well, a lot of people are using it. We had 50 memberships sold year to date. Yeah. So last year to date, we had 18. So that's a huge, huge increase there. We do currently have 68 owners in foreclosure. So the way that works is after 3 years, if they haven't paid dues, we start the foreclosure process. Our sales team has worked really, really hard to contact these individuals. Matter of fact, that number was over 140 a couple months ago, and it's dropped down to 68. So they contact them and say, hey, do you want to quit claim that deed back to us? Do you want to make the payment? Do you want to transfer the ownership and somebody else will take care of it? And we work with them to kind of resolve that before it goes into foreclosure. So from over 140 to 68 is really, really good. So our sales team is working really hard at that. So That's all I have for my update, so now we'll just open it up to questions. Yes, sir.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to my first time live on this. About a month ago, on your live one of these, you mentioned the credit card processing and the point of sale issue, and I got you in touch with them. That was me, by the way.
Okay.
Just where are we at on that?
Yeah.
If you're still interested, and just kind of what the status of that.
Yeah, so the point of sale system and the credit card fees, so I'll take you through the entire kind of process that we've been through. So originally, we got some requests from owners that said, hey, we've collected way more than we've expensed. That's an issue. And you're absolutely right, it is. But when we dove into the actual numbers, we found out that Abacus had been coding stuff that did not belong in the credit card fee income. So that number was inflated. It turns out we were on a plan called the preferred option with Shift4 that basically means that we don't actually ever receive any of the credit card fees. The credit card fees are taken by Shift4, and then we get the net from that, but we never actually receive that income. There's a couple caveats to that. Online payments, we do charge the fee. We actually receive that fee and then expense that fee back out. And so at the time we said, well, we don't know what the problem is, but if this is an issue, it's a big issue, so we stopped payments. So the board voted, we stopped the 4% across all platforms for a couple of months until we figured out what was going on. Once we figured out we're on the preferred program and everything is good, we kicked everything back over. So we're kind of in the same boat as we're in now, where most of our transactions are on that preferred plan through Shift4. There's a whole nother set of issues with the point of sale system. So in the past, when you actually slid your credit card at the front, it was connected to Campground. Like that point of sale system actually went through Campground. It is not integrated like that anymore. So we had a lot of issues with that credit card processor in the past. I found out now that company from before, and I don't even remember their name, but somebody that I met with said they're very predatory. Anyway, so I'm not saying it's a bad decision that we got away from them, but it's no longer integrated with Campground, which causes some pretty severe operational constraints on ensuring that we can get the proper information. Because now, well, for the longest time, Shift4 only had Campground would track the actual charge, and I know this is really in the weeds, but Campground would charge, it would have the actual charge, and then Shift4 would just say other transaction. So when we went to going back to Abacus, there was never an actual reconciliation that happened. Like nobody sat down with the bank statement and the actual transactions and matched those, okay? We're doing that now. It is a nightmare, but we're doing it. And one of the things that we ran into right off the bat was there's no way to actually look at a deposit from Shift4 and say, what made up this deposit, right? So we changed the point of sale system a little bit. We worked within the parameters that they had to add items on there, which you'll see there's some, it's a pain for some things because if it is a fluctuating cost, anything that's fluctuating cost, it's like set at $1, and if it's $5, they have to hit the button 5 times. That's why you'll see them up there tapping on it before they hand you that. It's still a huge issue, something that we want to solve. What I don't want to do is switch point of sale systems now, and then we're looking at a new campground software, the possibility of new campground software down the line. If we switch now and then create all these systems to track and then switch again because it doesn't work with our new campground system, that'll be another nightmare that I don't want to face. So we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. So back to your original question, that was a lot of, back to your original question, I'm hesitant to switch now unless, and I met with the guy that, Matt, and I said, Matt, I'd be happy to look at a new point of sale system if you can assure me that that point of sale system will work with every campground software that we could choose. And I don't think he can assure that. So right now, we're looking at new campground systems. We're talking to all of our staff and saying, what functionality does campground have that we want to keep? What things would be really nice to have? And we're looking at campground options that can make that happen. So another thing that has been brought up by a lot of owners is booking reservations online for the cabins. That's something that's like a high priority for this new campground system that we want. The campground system we have now is just, it's very outdated. It's on a physical server on our location. It's very customizable, but not user-friendly whatsoever. I think when I counted clicks to check somebody in, it was like 23 clicks to check somebody in. And it should be way more streamlined than that. So we're currently looking at solutions. I don't have an answer for you yet, but I will present that to the board. It will most likely be a 2026 budget discussion, because it's the great thing about campground now is it's super cheap. We paid quite a bit of money, I believe. Do you remember the amount? It was like $10,000 or something several years ago for this campground system, and then it's $100 a year, and that's all it costs us. Campground systems now are a lot more expensive than that. We're looking at a couple thousand a month. So, yes, ma'am.
Well, this is very important. When is the Rock and Roll Cafe going to open?
This is really important. When is the Rock and Roll Cafe going to open? Yes. So I would love to give you a date. I'm afraid if I give you a date, I'll be wrong. So here's my commitment to you, though. We are currently hiring the food and beverage manager. As soon as that position can get in here and get our new menu going and we hire our staff, I want to open it. But if I give you a date and we run past that, I just don't want to do that. So she's narrowing me down. Next will be, do you have a week? So I can tell you where we're at in the process, okay? We have completed close to 15 phone interviews. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but several phone interviews. We've done a few in-person interviews, and we've got 3 rounds of interviews. So I will tell you that one of the people that we interviewed, I'm a huge fan of, but I haven't interviewed everybody else yet. So as soon as we conduct those interviews, we'll move to 3rd round interviews. That's when the board some of our board members will sit in on the interview, and then we'll make our hiring decision. Once we do that, we're looking at, depending on how many places they've lived, 2 to 3 weeks on a background screen, drug screen, get them in here, get them. So my goal is to make sure it's open before our peak season. Okay. So yeah, I don't see it being like June.
Well, this is an observation.
Yeah.
I kept my membership, new widow, sold the motorhome. Now I'm a rental with a dog. So I would like to suggest more pet-friendly motel model, because the scores are like this anyway. What can they do?
Yeah. So
Most people have dogs, they're good.
yeah. So she said more pet friend. She's suggesting more pet friendly motel models. Yeah, here on Park. That's something that's come up. The board has discussed it as well. You'll notice that we just changed some of the yurts. When you say that the flooring is the same, you're right. The flooring is the same. But the one thing we have to consider is something that's a pet unit can't switch back to a non-pet unit without a very specific cleaning because of those allergies. So that's really we want to strike the right balance and not turn people away, but it is on the board's radar. It's on my radar. So I appreciate that feedback. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a list of openings for certain jobs, and do you have something where a couple could come and stay for a month and have a position, during that time?
So we don't have something specifically for like a month. There are typically seasonal positions that last more than 2 months. And the problem is, and I'm just thinking this through as you ask it, but so I present to the board, here's our budget, right? And then here's all the positions, because work camping does cost the organization something, right? And the board approves a certain amount of positions. And I did not plan for anybody working just 1 month or 2 months. So if somebody did work 1 month or 2 months, they would hold a position that we would then have to rehire for in 2 months, and that could be difficult. So the answer to that now is no, we don't have a position like that currently. Happy to look at that in the future. And then your original question was how many positions we have open in each one. I don't have a list. We haven't posted a list anywhere, but we are hiring in maintenance, housekeeping, security, rock and roll, activities, and then we've got a front desk opening as well right now. So and some of those are paid positions as opposed to yes, ma'am.
But you do accept volunteers, right?
Absolutely, we accept volunteers. Yeah. Matter of fact, if you want to volunteer in housekeeping, that would be.
It actually would. It would be amazing. I would buy you lunch.
I will say, just a second, on the volunteer thing, I will say, if you volunteer and you say, I was an electrician for a year, and I'm not licensed, and I'm gonna volunteer to go do something for you. We're working on a new city handbook. We're trying to ensure that the organization is OSHA compliant, with training and certifications and everything goes along with that, because that's something we've not done the best job of ensuring safety is a number one among our staff. So we're currently working on that. So I see how before, if you're volunteering to do something that could be hazardous or dangerous and you don't have the proper certifications and licensure, we would say, is there something else that you can volunteer to do? So, 1 second. Yes, sir.
We went from the 3-day to 5-day being absent from your training.
Yep.
Is there a system set up to prevent abuse of this?
So he just said we went from a 3-day allowance to be away from your camper to a 5-day, and asked if there's any controls in place to ensure somebody's not abusing that. None of our Treasure Lake members would ever abuse a policy or a rule, number one, okay? That's something we're working through. I mean, security, it's really up to our security team to be driving around and keeping an eye on those things. Especially because somebody doesn't have to tell us, right, that they're leaving. We encourage that, but there's nothing that says they have to come by and say, hey, by the way, I'll be back in 5 days for us to check on that. But security does a pretty good job. I mean, if you've ever been gone before when it was the 3 days and, get a phone call, they're usually pretty good at that, and they won't catch everything, but they're pretty good at catching that. So.
And the reason for extending it to 5 days was for additional income.
Yeah. So Gary just brings up that the reason for extending that was the additional income and the occupancy. And we heard from a lot of owners in these meetings that said, listen, I don't understand why you're kicking me off the park for the 3 days. After the 3 days, I want to go back home, take care of something and come back, and I'm paying for the site, and you're turning us away, and you're turning away income. And so the board heard that, listened to that, and we made adjustments. So, yeah.
More like a consecutive thing instead of coming down, getting it, and for the week, go home and come back the next weekend, and then take the next week and leave the camper sitting there again.
Well, I mean, I guess the catch on that is you're still bound by all of the other rules. You've got your 21 days and then your 9 days buyback. I mean, that doesn't interrupt any of that process. So, and campground keeps track of that. So, as far as, I mean, could somebody do that back to back and stay? Well, yeah, just like they could come down and stay for 30 days. Another phase, yep. Yeah, and they could, yeah. But those same people could, in turn, actually stay there for those days. So, you know what I'm saying?
You just have to, it puts more on security and maintenance to keep an eye so that trailer isn't leaking and running water constantly.
Yeah. And I don't know if it really puts more on security just because we do a nightly inventory no matter what. We're driving around no matter what. So unless we saw a huge increase of actual issues that were happening, which I guess we could see, that's something to keep an eye on. But I don't foresee that being a major issue for Treasure Lake. So, did you have a question?
I do.
Okay.
Well, it's not a question. Well, yeah, I guess it is. In the office, when people come in to rent a cabin or set up for their camper or whatever, during busy season, there's a line, bless their heart, trying to take care of everybody. My suggestion would be to divide each computer for quick questions. Like renting a T-Mobile box. That's that. So you can get in and get out instead of a line of 25 of everybody waiting, and getting frustrated of there's 20 people in line and all I want to do is rent a box or
I just have a question.
I just had a question.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that might be not so much congestion.
I think it's really good feedback. I'll share that with Stacy, our owner services manager, and we'll see. We've got 3 terminals up there. So yeah, during a peak season, if we do have a lot of people with just small questions, we can open up one line for that. And they could switch back and forth. If there was nobody there with any questions or nobody that wants something simple, we could do regular check-ins as well. I think it's a great suggestion. Yeah. Stacy goes back and watches these, so hey, Stacy, look into that. Yes, ma'am.
I was trying to run a Zoom meeting yesterday for a nonprofit, and we were in the cabin, and the internet was, not working. So I even tried my hotspot, that wasn't working. So I drove down by the bathrooms, and it wasn't working there. Is there anything being worked on right now about getting better service in the park?
Whew. All right, how much time do we have? All right. So we do have the T-Mobile hotspots. We have a limited number of those. To the original infrastructure question, Treasure Lake spent a lot of money and was promised coverage that we never received for the internet. So I think they made a decision at the time based on information that was false, misleading. We put all this infrastructure in place and it doesn't work like it's supposed to. Part of that's because of terrain, part of that's because they're not high enough, and there's a whole lot that goes into that. I have met with another internet company that has come out and said, we're not going to promise you 100% coverage. If it all depends on how much you want to spend. If you want to spend, this amount and do it by phases, we could get you 80% coverage, and right now you're at like 25. So we're in the initial phase of just kind of gathering information on that. I think that, again, is a long-term planning kind of thought process, and we need to get feedback from owners because it would be a massive investment to switch gears and get better coverage. So, and that stopgap was really the T-Mobile hotspots. But that's super frustrating because the organization spent a lot of money for something that was supposed to provide a real benefit to our owners, and we don't have that yet. The other thing that we've looked at is trying to open a space that is for individuals that are working from home, and maybe provide wired internet to those people that want to check out that room for a meeting or something like that. Again, those are all just ideas that we've thought about, but I appreciate the comment.
Someone online wanted to know if we could get more T-Mobile hotspots during the high season.
Yeah, and we absolutely can. Matter of fact, we're able to shut those Wi-Fi hotspots down. We're still charged for them, but we're charged nowhere near what we're charged when we're actually using them. So it's not a bad idea to get more. I'll watch the numbers on those, and if we run real close or running out consistently, I'm happy to look at adding additional T-Mobile hotspots for people. Yeah. Yes.
The lodge is probably the best place if you want to work online.
Yeah.
It's usually
The lodge?
fairly consistent.
Yeah. So she's saying the lodge, the building right over here. And the only issues with that is if you're in a Zoom meeting, you need some sort of privacy, and you don't know what's going on there that day. It might be, the library's pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
To answer her too, we've lived down here 33 years, Blue Eye, and we've always had bad service.
Yeah.
It is not an easy thing for any of us in Southwest Missouri to have a good service.
Yeah. Service is an issue. Yeah. I've had really good luck. This is not a paid endorsement. I've had really good luck with Verizon, and I know some people have had decent luck with T-Mobile. T-Mobile's really good. Yeah. Okay. All right.
We went to T-Mobile Internet, and we take our box with us wherever we go.
Mm-hmm.
And we have internet and Wi-Fi no matter where we're at. And we're sitting
Yeah.
in the duplex, and I've got excellent rating.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people have come up with their own solution, and there's new solutions every day. Starlink is something that a lot of people are looking into as well. So, and that's one of the things that we need to weigh. Like, is it worth ensuring that we have a little business center, and is it better to consider having a small business center and having wired internet for the main areas, or is it better to spend a significant amount of money to project Wi-Fi across the park when there are so many solutions? So that's just, again, and I'm not for either one. I just think we need to gather a whole lot more information The problem with technology when you're investing in it as an organization is as soon as you put it in, it's already outdated. Like the stuff that we just, paid off is already, the company coming in is like, oh yeah, there's a much better solution. Oh, okay. Yeah. And there will be, as soon as you install this, there'll be a much better solution. So would it be easier for people to, get the type of internet that works best for them and their situation, or is it something Treasure Lake should invest in for all of our owners? So just a question that we have to figure out. We got 30 minutes left.
You didn't bring the donuts and coffee?
I don't know, no donuts or coffee. Hey, we've never had donuts and coffee at these, but that's not a bad idea.
I was gonna see maybe if you can help us with Forest Park, get the county to fix the road, where they can get the trees off the road.
Okay.
Because we called them last year, they come out and trimmed it up. But the commissioners said, oh no, we're not gonna push any trees out. And I thought, all the guys wanted to do it, but the commissioners wouldn't let them. So maybe if you guys would help put some pressure on too, because I know how many people come out of the park using that way.
So his request was, can Treasure Lake help in putting some pressure on the county to do some work in phase 5?
Well, no, it's his main.
The back road that goes down by the charcoal plant is where the trees are really hanging.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They're not even a foot off the road in places.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I'm happy to look at. Right now in the planning phase that we're in, dedicating a lot of time to that right now would not be a priority for me. But if there's a phone call or a meeting I can attend that would help that effort, I'm happy to do that. So, and again, that was for Forest Park. So.
Well, it's actually for Treasure Lake too, because it's hard to know how many people in Treasure Lake use that road going out.
Yeah, use the back road. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure that I have it correct, that if we have a maintenance request, like a street light out, that we noticed last night at one of the main intersections, that we just use that QR code over there and just describe it? Is that how we do now?
Absolutely. And you can still, I don't want to, you're still always welcome to email, to grab somebody, to tell a staff member, this isn't the only way you can report a maintenance issue. It expedites it getting on the list of things that need to get done. And we're taking a look at, honestly, I've kind of recruited all of you to be inspectors of Treasure Lake, and that was kind of part of the idea. We went through and inspected the majority of units, the majority of RV sites. We've already got a long list of things that need to be done. And last time I looked at Maintain X, it is an amazing amount of hours needed by maintenance, like over 3,000 hours in just stuff that's come through so far. So it's really going to tell us, it's going to allow me to go to the long-term planning committee and also look at planning budgeting for next year and say, do we have the staff, the equipment, or to hit the priority areas, or do we need to adjust our priorities and be okay with X, Y, Z because we're fixing this, or do we want it all fixed? But that comes at a price. So, especially when I'm like, get the buildings painted, like, how soon can you get the buildings painted? And they're like, well, we're happy to get the building painted, but we got a request over here, so they're really balancing that well, trying to ensure that owner requests get handled and that our larger maintenance projects get handled as well, like the water leak. So Missouri Rural Water Association is coming out again next week. So we fixed the 2 major leaks that were identified. They're coming out again to listen and try to identify any more. So,
If you had some volunteers, what kind of perks do we get?
perks for volunteers.
Any or just,
I'll write you a handwritten note that says thank you so much. As of right now, we don't have like a volunteer. We typically, if we have a volunteer day, we'll provide lunch. So that's one positive thing. But we don't have like a volunteer recognition program that would say like you volunteered X number of hours.
Do you need to like fill out an application to be a volunteer?
No. So like our next volunteer day, just show up. Amy, do we have a sign up for that right now? And the only reason we would do a sign up is just to know, how many people we can assign to different projects and how many lunches to buy. April 12th is the next volunteer day. So we'll have a bunch of projects scheduled that day. And I've been telling people, it doesn't matter if, if you want to sit at a shredder, like we've got old tow cards, from like 5 years ago that need to be shredded. Well, I mean, either our staff has to do that, but there's a volunteer that wants to sit there and shred those. That would be a huge help. So, all the way to painting. Did you volunteer to shred the forms? Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
Phase 2 pond, how's that going?
Yeah, Phase 2 pond. I've got a meeting with an owner next week to discuss with him his insights on the pond. As of now, you'll probably see somebody out there in a canoe in the next probably 2 days, because there were some areas that they just could not get to. It was so wet, their machine would get stuck. So he's going to go out there and actually pull those out. After that, there's a chemical that we're going to be adding that's safe for the environment and safe for the fish. Once we put fish in there, that'll ensure that those don't come back. And I've been told that we really just need to wait for the biosphere to kind of repopulate, get some plant growth and stuff before we put fish in there. But I'm not a pond expert. So we did reach out to Missouri Conservation, didn't get a lot of help from them. And then the long-term planning committee will need to decide, that'll be part of that long-term plan. When do we put fish in? What fish are we going to put in? How big are the fish going to be that we put in? Do we allow fishing for the first 2 years? Do we not? All those questions. I'll lean on owners with that expertise, because I don't have that expertise at all. So that answer your question? Okay.
Does that mean like after you get the fish in that you can't do like with the kids having a catch and release?
I don't know what it'll look like. It could be a catch and release. It could be a no fishing. It could be we stock it with monster catfish and you catch the first day and take it home if you want.
My great-grandson ain't gonna be happy if he can't fish.
Yeah. Well, listen, you can always fish in pond. So there was somebody, I was told yesterday that somebody drove by and saw somebody fishing in the Phase 2 pond. Okay. There's like 4 turtles in there and 0 fish. So if that was you, I mean, there's a fine line between doing nothing and fishing, right? So they were doing nothing. No.
Can you tell me about the tree cutting program within the park?
Tree cutting program within the park. You make it sound like we've got an official document called the tree cutting program. We don't. So if you drive through the park, you'll see several that were X'd. Those are the ones that are planned to come down. They've removed a lot of them. We also trimmed a lot of limbs. We don't have an official program as of now. So.
The rule is still the same. Tell the office and you'll come and cut something if it's too low.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, if you've got one hitting your camper or you notice something that we haven't seen yet, absolutely, yeah, let us know. And we'll make sure that gets added to the maintenance list. When you said like tree cutting plan, in my head I'm thinking you cut down a tree, you have to plant, and okay, all right. We don't have that official plan yet, but it's something that long-term planning committee needs to get busy. Yes, sir.
Has there ever been any discussion about weekly or monthly camping rates?
Expand on that a little bit.
Like, weekly or a discounted rate?
Oh, gotcha.
Weekly or monthly?
Since I've been here, there's been no discussion on like a discounted rate if you're going to stay for a week or 2 weeks or a month. So to answer that question, no. But we've got some board members in the audience today that.
We just reduced the rates.
Yeah, across the board for one night, or it doesn't matter how many nights. So, yeah. And again, all that's in an effort to increase that occupancy, like get people coming.
I think it's because he saw something posted in maybe it was a private meeting, closed door meeting, where it said daily, weekly, monthly rates. Like that was a part of an agenda to discuss, and I think that's where his question comes.
Gotcha. Okay. So that bullet on that agenda was not related to individuals camping. That was related to a daily, weekly, or monthly use rate for people that aren't staying on the park. There was no decision made on that. I don't think it's something that we're going to solve anytime in the near future. But the argument is, and this has been discussed at multiple Meet the Manager meetings, there's kind of two sides. One side says, I pay my dues and I should be able to come to the park and enjoy all the amenities, whether I'm staying on the park or not, because I bought my membership and I paid my dues. On the other side of the argument, it says, yeah, but I come down to the park, say 50 days out of the year, and these other people are coming to the park, on a weekly basis because maybe they live close to the park and they're taking part in bingo, they're swimming in the pool, they're paying the same price, less than I'm paying because they're not actually staying on the park. So those are the two kind of arguments behind that. And the idea behind a daily, weekly, monthly rate would be, hey, if you're not staying on the park, we're going to charge you a fee for using the pool, or and we talked about it for a little bit, discussed would that be something that we could even implement in practice, what that would look like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like that issue just kind of was set aside. What's that?
That's kind of the point of a membership.
Yeah, and that's one side of the argument, is that's part of the membership, and that's but in reality, the park relies on site night fees. Like, not everything is baked into those dues because dues haven't raised in many, many years. So that's the thought behind that. Prices have increased. We want to do a lot of things with the park. We want to make it better. And for people that are coming and staying, 3 weeks on an RV site or staying in one of the rentals, they're providing a lot more income and taking part in those same activities. So like I can see it both ways. And so I did some research on, I wish I would have brought the numbers with me. Over 5,000 members live within a 5-hour driving time of Treasure Lake. 240 something live within a 30-minute drive time. And I think the question was, do we want to change our entire operating scheme and charge some sort of daily use fee for about 250 people that might or might not be coming to the park? Because we don't have real data yet to say, like, we haven't tracked, like, oh no, these people that live in Branson come, 30% more often than somebody that lives a state away. Like, we don't have that data.
Like, each time we scan the gate card, does it ding this member came in?
Yeah, but it's not a system that allows us to easily pull data from. It's not again, going back to like campground, we've put a lot of systems in place that are great systems, but none of them talk to each other. And like the gate card system, if I go and I do like a query on it, I could find it, but it doesn't easily export that data into like a usable format. And the way that we named cards before and the way that we used cards before, which is the reason we're doing the reset, wasn't consistent. So you may get a card that has your name on it, and you may get a card that's not programmed with your name, doesn't have your member number or anything. So we can't tell at all who used that card. We just know that card number 77586144483362 was scanned. Well, that doesn't help us at all. So part of this, reset is to make sure that, one, there is no card abuse. When I first started, and I met with almost every staff member individually and just said, hey, what's going right, what's going wrong? One of the things that was brought up multiple times was we believe that there's a lot of card abuse going on. So you'll come up to the front, a member will say, hey, I need a 2-month card, and then they'll come back and they'll say, hey, I need another 2-month card because I lost mine, and they give that to their family member or their friend or somebody that lives in Branson, even if they don't live in Branson, and that family is coming in and utilizing the services. And security is, they said they've absolutely seen this happen in the past. And we didn't really have a great, like when you got a card, it was just reloaded basically. So it was like a year. And then we'd give you that card expecting you to turn it back in after your stay. Well, what if you don't? Well, you've got a card that is programmed for a year. And that didn't always happen, but it happened sometimes. So with this switch, we've switched to, if you're coming in just for a visit, your card is programmed for your visit plus 1 day, period. If you're getting a 2-month card, it's programmed for the 2 months. So. Yes, sir.
Steve, can we turn our ID cards into a gate key card? That way our pictures on them?
That's been brought up. I think it's a great idea. We had a board member actually propose that. Something we're looking into. But as of now, we're trying to make do with the system that we have. I don't have it in the budget switch to a whole new system and order all new cards. Those would be probably a little more costly, but I love that idea. I love that idea.
Going back to the whole daily, weekly, monthly thing on the charging side, then your security gate would have to be able to charge the customer per, or the whoever per whatever, because
Yeah.
the office, I mean, if you're coming in for bingo, the office is closed.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we looked at, like the operational issues of trying to implement something like that would be huge. I'm not saying they're not overcomable, but is it worth changing our entire operation for? We don't even know how many people might be utilizing it on a daily basis that aren't staying on the park. We don't have that number. The only thing I can do is look at zip codes and say, according to our membership roster, in their zip codes, we've got about 250 people that live within a 30-minute drive. So, yeah, no, I agree. We had a long discussion about it. So, yes, sir.
So you're saying that you don't like I've had my membership card, or my gate pass for a few years, and every time I just turn it, I just get it redone.
Yeah.
But I don't even live in Missouri. I live out of state, but it's easier just to have I just put it in the dash and it's always there.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's not changing. So he was saying, I've had the same gate card for 3 years. That's fine. It's not really about the gate card itself. It's about ensuring that gate card is set for the 2 months that you're supposed to have it, and then you have to come into the office and say, hey, can you reload my gate card? So, does that make sense?
I have nobody down here, so it's not like I give my card out to nobody.
Yeah.
It's just for myself.
Yeah, and there is no issue with that whatsoever. No issue with that. So we're not going to take your card. When all the cards get reset and you show up, we're not going to take your card and give you a different card. You're going to have the same card. We're just going to load it with the proper information, and we've got a whole naming scheme that we're going to use now. First name, last name. There'll be a spot if you're RPI or coast to coast, yada yada yada, and then your member number, so that we can actually track that information.
Somebody from Forest Park would like to know, are their cards going to be programmed for a year?
So there is an option, and there's a different pricing structure for Forest Park, and that was an agreement that was made a long time ago. And yes, they will still have the same access that they've had in the past for the same fee. So none of the fees are changing. They'll still be able to get what they've gotten in the past. But the cards will reset, and they'll need to come in and get them reset.
What is their fee?
I don't have the fee schedule in front of me. I can't remember off the top of my head. Hey, Ty, do you remember all the charges for the cards? Okay. It's not a lot. I think it's like $5 or something. Yeah.
I think it's an extra $5, but don't hold my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got the fee schedule sitting on my desk that we all agreed to. I just didn't bring it with me. I'm sorry.
That's no different than when we paid $5.
Yeah, it'll be no different, and you won't be charged anything. Like if you show up with your card, like you already paid your deposit for that card, you're not going to be charged anything. They're just going to reset it and get the right information on it. So nothing will be due if you're bringing your card to have it. Hey, my card was turned off. They're not going to charge you anything for that.
Someone online would like to know, are we still doing tow-outs?
Yes. Yep.
You might repeat that.
So the question was, are we still doing tow outs? Yes. Yeah. We're towing in, towing out, same day tows. All that is the same as the previous year. So. Yes, sir.
But your camper has to be in good condition.
Camper has to be in good condition. Yeah. So we did make some changes last year to the towing program, but nothing new for this year. The change that we made was, we had some. I went with Brad when he was the maintenance manager, and I'm pretty sure he picked a special situation to kind of really drive the point home. But like he had to assemble the sewage pipe. It was like in 3 pieces in different places. He had to go find it, put it all together, hook up the sewage, and then he was showing me issues with campers, like dry rotted tires, and they were expected to put air in that tire and then tow it. So I met with all of owner services, some of maintenance, everybody was involved in the towing process. And we sat down and said, what's working, what's not working, what's a liability, what's not a liability. And so my approach, what I've told maintenance is, I don't ever want to turn an owner away unless it's for like a safety reason. So if maintenance calls you and say, hey, we have you up for a tow today, we notice that your tire is flat, it's also extremely dry rotted. And if we put air in this tire and try to take it somewhere, we're afraid it's gonna blow and cause damage, right? We can't do that. Now, here's a number of somebody that, here's 3 numbers of people that could come out and make that repair for you, or a shop that we could get it taken to, yada, yada. Help them solve the problem. But before, we would just acquiesce and put air in the tire and hope and pray that it didn't blow. We can't do that anymore. That doesn't mean that if you have a dead battery, we won't try to charge it. Again, I don't want this to be a situation where like maintenance rolls up with a checklist and they're like, oh, there's a scuff on the tire, we can't tow that one. Like that's not the idea at all. Good working condition, meaning I don't want my maintenance team to spend an hour trying to get your camper ready to tow, because then we're behind on tows and owners aren't getting towed and they'll show up and their camper isn't where it's supposed to be. We have to try to balance that, where we're still providing the service to the owners, but if it needs significant repair or something done and it's not in towable condition, then we can't tow it. So, anybody have any questions about that, or? Okay, you can ask a different question, it's fine.
My question is, would it be cost effective and alleviate congestion in the office to have gate security take checkout cards until 3 o'clock? Because I believe 3 o'clock is checkout time.
Say that one more time.
Would it be cost effective for gate security to take checkout cards until 3 o'clock to help alleviate what's going on in the office? Like I have to take my card in at 1 o'clock to turn it in because I'm checking out. Well, then I have to wait in that long line. Could gate security take it until 3 o'clock instead of earlier?
Instead of coming to the front desk?
Right.
Okay. I'm thinking through it.
But if you keep your gate card, then they don't give you $5 back.
A lot of the times, if somebody is checking out, there could be additional charges that would have to be sorted out. I mean, security already has a money bag, but they don't operate that money bag during the day, right, Ty?
We do checkouts at the guard shack.
He said we do checkouts at the guard shack.
Between 7 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. We shut it down at 1:30 because checkout time is 2 p.m. We take that half an hour to reconcile our bags and our cards, and because we're doing it on paper and not in the computer, that list of everything goes to reservations for them to verify and them to do the extra checkout. And we are only able to do those who are on the departure list, because if we owe you days, we can't give you anything more than your gate card deposit. Any other monies would need to go through the welcome center, and that's why we send them down there. And that's why we run the current times that we are at this point.
I think that's something new, because in the past we've left at like 11 o'clock and you had to go to the office to check out.
Gotcha. So Ty just kind of laid out the current atmosphere, and he said that you can check out from 7 a.m., don't let me get the time wrong, 7 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And the reason we stop at that 1:30 p.m. is so they can reconcile their bag, get it up to the front, ensure that reservation has a list, and they're updating their system for the larger checkouts that are coming at 2 when checkout time actually is. So it sounds like maybe we saw that's already in place, kind of what you were talking about a little bit.
If I check out early, a day early, and I want to go through the guard shack, I can just say, y'all keep the money. Isn't that okay?
Absolutely.
That's why they send you back down to
Yeah.
the office and
Uh-huh.
keep the funds.
Yeah.
But if I know that, I can just say, hey, keep the funds, and I'm on out.
Yeah.
Work off.
Yeah, and security would just need to make sure they note that and give that to the front desk, so we don't, because what will happen is if that doesn't get communicated, when everything gets reconciled, you'll get a check for like $8 sent to your home. So, just like you had done.
That's what y'all want to
Yeah,
verify.
yeah.
We just need to let them know and keep it.
Yeah. Ty, you're good with that, right? Operationally wise, that's not an issue. Somebody can drive through the gate and say, hey, I'm checking out. I'm actually checking out early, and a day early, and I don't want a refund. Keep the money.
They are, yes, they are allowed to designate if they want that to go like to the capital improvement funds or the fireworks fund. They can designate that to us and we can send the word down to the front office and it'll be noted in the computer and done that way.
So just to reiterate what he's saying, because he didn't have a mic on and there's some people on the live, he's saying absolutely, guard check can handle that no problem. They're going to radio the front desk and let them know so they can update the system right then and there and get it all taken care of. So you won't get a check in the mail for whatever's owed to you. Yes, ma'am.
Some of the golf carts that are parked around, like there's some in 4, wherever, that have these covers, the wind's been notorious lately, and they are like damaged to no saving them. That needs to get cleaned up. That's an eyesore.
Yeah, so she's saying the wind over the past couple weeks have really torn up a lot of the covers for the golf carts that are around, and she said that needs to get cleaned up. It's an eyesore. I agree. We'll take a look at that, contacting the owners. If I drive by and I see one blown off, I will like put it back on. But they're like shredded. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what we have to kind of toe the line on is, if we call an owner that lives 4 states away and say, hey, we've removed your cover and thrown it away, I'll have to think through that, because then they might come back and say, well, you threw my cover away and now my golf cart's damaged, and it was salvageable. My wife could have sewed that up just fine, and your fault.
Or
And
maybe take a picture and have a
yeah,
send it to them
yeah,
and say,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what would you like us to do? We can either take it off or you can get a ticket. Yeah, okay. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
RV storage.
RV storage.
I noticed something the other day that said trailers only, but I see trailers that have golf carts right behind them. Is that still doable?
There's a sign that says trailers only. Ty, in the past, what have we done? Because in the contract, I have to go back and look at the contract again, honestly. We looked at the contract, and I think we left enough room that if you had an RV, and especially if you had like a golf cart trailer or something, when you pulled your RV out, you could store something on your RV site while you were at the park and then pull it out and move it back in. It's been a common practice to have, if you had enough space on your site, to also store your golf cart on that site. And I don't have any issues with that as long as there's enough space and it doesn't encroach on anybody else's.
Is there something in the contract that says and camping equipment or something like that?
Yeah, I believe we left it very vague so that, we could say, yeah, golf carts are included in other camping equipment. So I guess we probably need to remove that sign then if that's not actually happening. Ty, do you see any issues with removing that sign? Okay. All right. We'll get that sign removed.
I didn't see it on the sign. I saw it in like a newsletter or something.
Oh, you saw it on a newsletter. Okay. All right.
Something. I can't remember what it was.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, sir.
How is the reorganization of the permanent storage going? Because I know you had some huge lots you're wanting to condemn down to, Apple, whatever.
Yeah, so how's the reorganization going of the storage lots? I don't have a number on hand. I've got a report on my desktop right now that shows I believe it's like 32 contracts have not been returned yet. So still working on getting through those. And then a massive amount of people have been called, to say, hey, we've got a site opening, so we're trying to get 6-month move to long-term and just trying to get that list up to date. So I can bring some really detailed storage numbers at the next meeting if that would be helpful. So, yes, ma'am.
I want to thank everyone for having these meetings to where we can ask questions, having it on Facebook Live, to where
And
we're,
YouTube.
we're a
Sorry.
community. We all are a community, and we have a voice of what our park wants to be, how we want it to be run, and the way we want each spot to be taken care of and maintenance properly. And they're doing an amazing job from what I see. Our roads are not great big holes like other campsite properties are. It's just a blessing. So even though there's a lot of issues, look at all the blessings that we have. You know, the roads are taken care of, the maintenance people are doing an amazing job, the security, the housekeeping, yourself having this brand new job and everybody telling you what they think. I just want to say thank you. Everybody is just a joy to be around, and just treat it that way. You know, just think of all of the blessings that we have here at Treasure Lake. And being right here off of 76th Strip, we're so close to everything, but if you go to your site, what do you hear? The train from Silver Dollar City. Isn't that a blessing? It's just a joy.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah. I was really excited to get back to in-person meetings, and Facebook for me is the Facebook Live. Just doing the Facebook Live only is awkward because I'm not talking to an actual person. That's just a personal thing. So I'm excited to get back, and I hope everybody knows. You made the comment like everybody's kind of telling you what they think. I love that. Like that does not bother me at all. I appreciate your comments on the community that we have, because that's really what we're trying to build. I don't see my role as dictating what Treasure Lake will be doing. I see my role as taking feedback, working with like a long-term planning committee, a board of directors who represent the owners and were voted on by the owners, and working through issues and solving problems for the betterment of Treasure Lake. So, and we've got an amazing team. We got a great board. We've got great committees that are willing to jump in and help as well. So it's teamwork all the way around. So I really do appreciate you guys as well. Yeah. So, yes, ma'am.
On the decoration of the park, Naomi,
Mm-hmm.
is she still here, and does she have help? She needs help.
She's still here. I saw her yesterday and signed off on some flowers that got delivered. So absolutely. And maintenance is there to help her as well. So yeah, it's a huge blessing. So if you look around it, Naomi is the one that creates these little works of art around the park out of flowers. So yeah, huge shout out to her. She does an amazing job. So, you know. Yes, sir.
When we first became members, the proceeds from the breakfast, we were told, was to put lighting on the walking paths. Is that still the plan? And if so, where are we at on that?
Yeah, so this has come up at multiple lives. There's some, and I wasn't here then, so it's hard for me to say this is what happened or what didn't happen. I've heard some people say it was the breakfast volunteers could make a recommendation to the board about what that money should be spent on, and the board would have the final decision. I've heard people say that no, it was supposed to be, all those funds were supposed to be set aside and weren't allowed to be touched for anything except for the project they decided on. So I don't know the full truth behind that, and what I can tell you was there's no lighting. So we've scoured the place. There's no lighting hiding anywhere that is waiting to be put up. So what I had said before was I could go back and look at the gross receipts, the net income for the breakfast, and make sure the board was aware of the amount of money that the breakfast raised net-wise, and say, you know, what do we want to do with this? Lighting paths has come up a lot as something that they would like to have. As of now, we don't have any active plans to put lighting in anywhere. So, did that answer your question? So the other question that typically comes up is, so if we were made a promise, or there was a thought or a decision made that this money is going to be set aside, how can we trust that money being set aside in the future is actually going to be set aside? And so I've talked about this a lot too. on our balance sheet, so in January's financials, when it comes out, you will actually see a temporary restricted net asset number. And I forget the exact name of it, but that if you come in, as a nonprofit, if you come in and say, I want this to go to X, right? We have an obligation to set that money aside on our balance sheet as not something we can spend on just anything. And we have the ability to say we either accept that donation or we don't. If we accept that donation for that thing, it has to be spent on that thing. And I want to make it very clear right now to every single owner that when I say if you donate to the capital improvement fund, that money is sitting on our balance sheet, set aside. It doesn't mean it's in a different bank account, right? So if you looked on our balance sheet, we've got lots of liabilities and assets that are, some of them are liquid cash and some of them are not. That would be a liquid cash asset that we have that's actually a liability. It's set aside for a specific project. So I make that commitment to you guys right now. The only way that that money can be spent on anything, the board decides to set up these funds, and that money is locked in that fund. So I cannot go use that money to do anything but what that fund is meant for. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. I take that extremely seriously, and worked with a lot of federal grants in the past and donors, and we had a line for all of that and tracked it meticulously to make sure that the money that's donated for a specific project stays in that project. So, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say how nice the painting is. Yes. They are doing an excellent job. They have worked hard, and it is going to be so nice to see these buildings painted.
Everybody like the paint? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to look good. It's going to look fresh. It's going to pop. We've ordered. We've got the paint, the gray as well. So after they get done with the trim, they'll start painting the buildings, and it's going to look really different around here. So if you haven't been in a while and you're watching on Facebook and you come down, the trim of all the buildings are being painted black to match that black roof. And then the sides of the buildings will be painted a lighter gray. So, yeah. I'm excited to see it. Yeah. All right, what time are we at? We're 5 minutes over. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
What's the rule as far as coming in late?
What's the rule as far as coming in late was his question. So we had a lot of issues with, obviously the times didn't line up with when the sun actually went down, and the purpose and the reason for the rules was to keep people safe and also, not disturb other people that were camping and possibly asleep. So the rule has been changed to, if you show up with your RV and there's a light on the guard shack, and it's a photocell light, so it's a dusted on light, so at dusk it turns on. And when it turns on, it is now time. All RVs have to be sent to overflow. So that's the rule. The rule is based on the all-knowing light.
Okay. I have an RV that's here at Treasure Lake, okay?
Okay.
It does not it's not towed. It's a drive.
Mm-hmm.
So this morning I came in because I live in Peoria, Illinois. And so
let me bring the mic to you because I want to repeat everything you say.
It's 7 hours for me to drive.
Okay.
And time I get off work, it's either you stop on the way,
Mm-hmm.
or if you get here, like I got here at 4 o'clock this morning, and I have no problem going to overflow. This is not a problem at all.
Okay.
But they said they didn't know if they could let me take it to overflow. So what are you going to do?
Ty, do you know anything about that?
I was just made aware of that this morning, that the question had come up, and always in the past, it's never been a problem, and it still will not be a problem. Security, if you're getting your rig out of storage during the dark hours, during quiet hours, we will have Security Patrol will escort you down and help you in your storage to provide extra light and safety to make sure that no other rigs or yours or anyone else's is damaged, and help escort you to overflow, and there again provide you with more light and safety to get you back in. Be no different than if you just came to the front gate with your rig at, say, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. we would still ensure that you were able to get to storage and get your rig placed into the overflow.
So real quick, so just to make sure I understand what you're saying, so you didn't drive up this morning at 4 a.m. and was told they weren't sure, right?
Okay, I brought my pickup.
Gotcha. So you showed up in your pickup and you said, hey, my RV's in storage. I want to get my storage and get on the site, right?
Okay, I'm in 6 month storage, so
Okay.
there's no fence.
Okay.
I wanted to go get my motorhome, put my truck where the motorhome's at because I didn't want to do a lot of extra stuff
Mhm.
and just drive it out and take it over here and put it in storage. I didn't need, I can park on the left side. I don't care about all that stuff. But they questioned that, and I just want to make sure that I don't have to grab a hotel because I'm coming 7 hours.
Yeah, so and Ty reiterated that was kind of a unique situation that we haven't run into a lot. Ty spoke with his guys. They're going to provide extra lighting for somebody if they're pulling their RV out of storage. And if the dawn to dusk light is on, you'll be going directly to overflow.
And
So,
I don't have a problem with the
yeah,
overflow.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I didn't need the lighting. I didn't need nothing like that because I turn my headlights on and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you're ready to go. Yeah.
And so I didn't need any help or anything, but they questioned, and I don't want to have to stay in my pickup truck. If I get here at 4 o'clock, I don't want to sit out in my pickup truck.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
8 o'clock in there trying to sleep in the front seat.
They questioned it because one of the issues we were having before was, people were saying, there's people parking, at 10 o'clock at night. Why are you letting this happen? And I said, absolutely not. Like if an RV shows up to the gatehouse, they're directed to overflow and security usually goes out there with them. I don't see how somebody could get past the gate unless they were like coming through the back gate, which you're not supposed to do. And then it turned out that one of the kind of loopholes we had was, well, somebody could show up in their car, check, beep themselves in, and then go to 6 month storage, hook up their RV, pull it out, and then put it in a spot. And then I have owners calling me saying, why are we allowing owners to park, when it's night against the rules at 11 o'clock, midnight, and we had no control over that. So I think that's why, the guy at the shack was like, hang on a second, because rules are changed, and I just want to make sure that we're good. He doesn't want to do something that's going to get him in trouble, obviously, and wants to make sure that we're following the rules and regulations. And it sounds like Ty ensured that, it was all taken care of. And
Another question is, I came in, it's not my first time during the night.
Mhm.
There's been times there was nobody at the shack, nowhere near. And
Yeah.
you have to call them and say, because I have a pass, I
Mhm.
go through, but I don't do that, because I do that's not the rule. So if there's somebody that pulls in behind me, then I'll pull in and park right there and wait for them. But my thing is that today I was surprised there was somebody actually at the shack. Because usually they're wherever.
in the past, we had one person on duty at nights. And at about midnight, right? That's when we usually see the last people showing up. About midnight, they would start inventory. So they do a nightly inventory. So that one person, when they were working before, would get in a vehicle, drive around, and they're doing an inventory of all the sites to give it to the front desk to make sure everything matches, right? We know that somebody's in that site and we're good to go. Last year, November-ish, probably. October, November, somewhere around in there, we added a position to nights. We said, no, that's a safety risk. Having one person by themselves all night long, if they fell out or something happened, nobody would know until the next morning. So we added an additional person, which is probably why you saw somebody at the gate, because even if you show up during inventory, there's typically somebody there. Now, that doesn't mean there's not a time when there's not somebody, so that number is always available. Whoever's on duty has that phone. But it's much more likely that somebody will be at the gate when you show up at night, because we've got two people now. Yeah.
At night. But when I stop for a couple hours because I've been up since 4 o'clock yesterday morning.
Yeah.
So I can't try. If you're up from 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't want to stay up till 4 o'clock without sleeping at least an hour.
Yeah.
To try to drive.
I'd recommend more than an hour. I gotcha. All right. Any other last minute questions? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Again, my door is always open. My cards are also right there if you want to grab it. If you need my email or my phone number, that phone number rings my desk and my cell phone at the same time, unless I'm at home eating dinner with the family and I put it on Do Not Disturb. So If you leave a message, I will try to get back to you. And if you email, I try to get back to you within a couple of weeks. So appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day and enjoy Treasure Life.